Paleontologists keep the fossils they find in order, determine their age and how fossils are formed, and where to look for them. It's time for us to go and visit a few fossil hunting locations. And you know why? Because there's still more fossils out there to find, and you could find them. Hope you're ready. Let's go! The first place we're going to visit is in Argentina. Argentina is located in South America. Here, let's take a closer look. Whoa! Ischigualasto, or the Valley of the Moon as it is also known, is a provincial park located in San Juan province, in the northwest part of Argentina. Ischigualasto is about a 6-hour drive from the city of San Juan. It is a special area because the rocks that are exposed here are from the early Triassic period, about 250 million years ago. It is in these early Triassic rocks that some of the world's first dinosaurs have been found. Dinosaurs like Herrerasaurus, considered one of the most ancient dinosaurs, and a group of reptiles called Rhynchosaurs. And perhaps one of the most famous fossils from Ischigualasto, the Eoraptor, which has both reptile and dinosaur features. Whoa! Look at all the endless hills and the terrain. It does look like the moon. Thankfully, I was joining a group of other volunteers to help a team of paleontologists explore this vast landscape and possibly find more remains of those early dinosaurs. The Ischigualasto Formation is made up of shales, sandstone, and volcanic ash layers. The colorful cliffs and spherical rocks are sandstone, while the layers that yield the fossils are shales that were deposited by ancient lake beds or rivers. During our first prospecting hike, we were shown what to look for by the paleontologists leading the project. I knew I should have brought my jacket. Usually, only a small portion of the fossil would show itself on the surface.
You see, normally, the fossils here are this kind of color. Purple, pink. These fragments, you can see is visible the texture of the bone. Here, this is a crust that is covering the bone.
Other times, you would find the bone embedded in the rock.
The biggest may be 2.5 meters. Or flat like it.
And sometimes, if you were really lucky, you would find a good portion of the fossil exposed on the surface. Like this backbone. After they were satisfied that we knew what to look for, we were free to roam on our own. Hey guys! Guys, wait for me! Whoa! Ow! Man, this prospecting stuff is hard work. A lot of hiking and scanning the ground for the smallest of fragments. But with a little effort and some long days, we really did find fossils. Occasionally, we found bone fragments encased in loose chunks of rock. But more often, we found fragments on the surface. We knew there could be more buried below the surface, so we circled the fossil fragments and marked them with tissue paper so that we could find them later for the paleontologists to examine. Many of our days were spent prospecting, but we also had to extract and prepare fossils found on earlier expeditions. Here is a plaster jacket that was left by a previous team. It would have to be taken back with all the new finds. Luckily, this one was fairly small. A more common activity was extracting specimens from the rock, which meant using a rock pick and chisel. And when that wasn't enough to do the job, a stone saw was used to undercut the fossil so it could be freed from the surrounding rock. Before a specimen could be totally removed, the fossil and surrounding rock had to be covered in burlap soaked in plaster. This covering eventually hardened, and we made sure the fossil wouldn't break apart during its final removal and transport back to the lab. Before being loaded into the truck, the jackets were labeled and numbered. This helps a paleontologist know what is inside and where and when it was found. Loading the truck usually involves brute force and a wheelbarrow. See what I mean? Well, that was my last day. And while it was the end of my fossil hunting adventure, the work for the paleontologists was just beginning. They will have to remove the surrounding plaster and rock to reveal the fossils. And that could take years. But it's definitely worth it. I will never forget my time in the Valley of the Moon. Wow! That was a really cool adventure in Argentina. But you don't have to travel out of the country to hunt for fossils. I know a place close to where I live where I find 300-million-year-old plant and animal fossils. Don't believe me? Well, take a look. The area is called Mason Creek, and it's about 70 miles southwest of Chicago, Illinois. The Mason Creek area yields fossils from the Mississippian period, 350 million years ago, to the Pennsylvania period, 280 million years ago. These two periods are sometimes grouped together and called the Carboniferous period. The Carboniferous was a time of great swamp forests that eventually created the huge coal beds in Illinois and much of the Midwest. In fact, it was this coal mining activity that first uncovered the fossils of Mason Creek. It was in the 1920s when strip mining became the most common method of digging up the coal. Here, take a look at these old photos. Strip mining uses large machinery to dig huge trenches in the earth to get at the coal layer. And as you can see, it left large lakes and countless hills of shale that contain the fossil-bearing concretions. So I either surface collect around the overgrown shale hills and strip mine lakes, or I sometimes dig for concretions. Today, some friends and I are at one of those places where we dig. Thankfully, we have a little extra help to get at the concretions below our feet. Hey, here comes the help now. We let the tractor dig down a few feet and open up an area of excavation. We then take turns picking through the tractor bucket using shovels or picks. And if we're lucky, concretions start rolling out.
Another one rolled out of there. Good one. Let's see. Come on. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. thing. Get the dirt off it. That's going to be a perfect one. Beauty. Big old clump.
Whoa! That was a pretty good day of collecting. Look at all those concretions we found. 3, 4, 5 buckets! I can't wait to crack them open and see what's inside. But I have to be patient. If I crack the concretions now, they might not split open. So you might ask, what is the right way to open the concretions? It is a process called the freeze-thaw technique. And just as it sounds, you first freeze the concretion in a freezer or leave them outside over the winter in buckets of water. Over time, the water oozes into the tiny cracks in the concretion. When the water freezes, it expands like little ice wedges in the rock. And sometimes this is enough to pop open the concretion over the winter. If not, I clean the concretions in the spring and lay them out to dry. I then take a few concretions and put them in the freezer and give them one last freeze. Now they are ready for the thaw part of the process, where the concretions are taken from the freezer and soaked in a pot of boiling water. This quick thaw step makes the frozen concretion expand, and if I'm lucky, I will hear a crack from the pot of boiling water. I then take the concretion out and look at it real close. There! There, see? See that faint line? That is where the concretion is about to open. After the concretion is cooled a bit, I gently pick it up and give it a little tap to see what's inside. Wow! That one is perfect! And so is that one! Here, take a look at a few more 300-million-year-old fossils. Well, I hope you had a fun time learning about paleontology and fossils. And weren't those fossil hunts a blast? I never know where fossil hunting might take me or what I might find next. Remember, there are many more Earth stories to tell. See you on my next adventure!
Hey, sit down and be quiet.
Honey, that big rubber thing's back. Next.